Hi guys, Brain here, and welcome to another commentary video. Today, I want to talk about my feelings about Bloodlust, because that's kind of a controversial game feature that's been in the game for quite some time, and some people really love it because it encourages more gameplay between the two sides and obviously helps you defuse some really awful setups. And some people kind of hate it because it kind of comes off as just kind of like, you know, having chases be won by the killers for free, just as long as they are able to waste enough time to get, you know, additional levels of Bloodlust, and then they just win the chase for free, even though they technically didn't make any smart decisions to win the chase. They were being rewarded, so that kind of feels bad to some people in their opinion. So I want to talk about how I feel about it, because I feel like there's some truth in both of these statements, and I feel like there's a happy medium that I would like if I was in charge and I would put this into place. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So if you've been listening to us talk about this so far and you're still kind of like confused at what Bloodlust even is, Bloodlust is a mechanic to help killers that over time, as you chase the survivor, you will eventually get more speed increases to your base kit speed to the point that you hit Bloodlust 3 and you're incredibly fast, and essentially the chase is kind of like a foregone conclusion, and you will eventually just win just on the basis of the fact that you have that extra speed increase. Now, of course, you don't get this very quickly. Bloodlust 1 kicks in at 15 seconds, Bloodlust 2 at 25, and then 35 respectively. So it takes a long time for this to kick in, so it still is a considerable time loss before you get that incredible speed boost. But it still essentially allows you to get such an incredible speed that you just kind of like win the chase for free. But the idea behind that and why that's even in the game, because, you know, on the surface that sounds kind of silly, is because the game used to be a lot worse when it came to its map design. I know there's still some really out there setups, like a lot of like the Haddonfield houses, like Garden of Joy has a ton, and some really nasty setups that can spawn on, like, you know, the Asylum, where you can have like shack into a long wall window. Like, there's some dirty setups in the game now, but the game used to be a lot worse. Those kind of like BS and very annoying setups used to be like everywhere on every map. They used to be incredibly, ooh, yay, daily, woo. Those setups used to be incredibly common, like incredibly common. And there used to be a lot worse. They used to be a lot worse. So instead of, you know, adjusting the maps, because that would be a very laborious thing to do to try and like rework all the maps, was that they put in this mechanic that essentially allows you to, you know, catch up and kind of like deal with these very oppressive, annoying setups. You just have to spend a little bit of time in chase. However, like I said, a lot of these very broken and unfair setups have been by and large removed from the game. A lot of them have been taken out. Now, for some reason, like I said, they keep adding new maps that have really busted setups, like Garden of Joy, where it's very frustrating to play killers on these maps. So I don't know why that's a thing, but for the most part, they've been doing a lot of what they can to try and like remove some of the more nasty and unplayable setups, especially if you're playing an M1 killer, from the game. That way the game health improves. But there still are quite a lot. Like I keep mentioning, Garden of Joy has plenty. The Haddonfield houses are pretty terrible. There are still setups like this in the game. So it begs us to the question of, what should we do with Bloodlust? Should Bloodlust stay in the game or should it be removed? And what is my take on it? In my opinion, Bloodlust inherently is not an awful mechanic, because in any sort of you know, versus game where you have one side facing the other, ideally more fun can be had if you are having everybody interacting as much as possible. I think one of the big things that I always see advocated for when removing Bloodlust is that a killer should not be rewarded for playing badly and just relying on Bloodlust to win the chase. However, if a killer is that bad, they may be chasing one player quite literally almost the entire match. To which your brain might say, well, good, they deserve to lose, but that does leave 3 other players just sitting on gens, which is the most boring and unfun thing in the game, which is just sitting there holding the button, and you don't even have to hold it anymore. There's a toggle. Just press a button and then hit a skill check every once in a while. You essentially leave 3 other players doing probably the most boring thing you could do in the game, and leaves them unable to interact or have fun with the killer at all. And they just kind of sit there and do nothing. So you want to encourage as much of the interaction between the two sides as possible. So Bloodlust inherently isn't a bad idea. And in a perfect world, I understand that, like, you know, in a perfect world where the map design was like not terrible at all and there weren't busted setups, you could totally 100% just go in there and just remove Bloodlust. But however, unfortunately, there are setups in this game that are still unfair. So I don't think Bloodlust has no place in this game. But I will add the caveat that I do think that Bloodlust 2 and 3 are kind of pointless. I do think Bloodlust 2 and 3 are kind of excessive. I like the idea of having some sort of mechanic that makes it to where if a chase is going on extremely long and none of the other players have really got to partake in chase, that the chase somehow comes to an end instead of just prolonging and lasting the whole game. However, the fact that you can get Bloodlust 2 and 3 and continue to gain this speed burst, continue to gain that bonus, that's where I kind of like disembark from the opinion that Bloodlust should be in the game. I don't think Bloodlust 2 and 3 are necessary. I feel like Bloodlust 1 on its own is fine, and you will eventually catch up to the Survivor anyway. I think Bloodlust 2 and 3 is excessive, and that's where I do start to agree with the notion, with the feeling that a lot of people have, that if you're hitting Bloodlust 2 and 3, you're probably not that great at chase. It's probably, if you're hitting Bloodlust 2 and 3, you've been in a chase for 25 to 35 seconds. It's probably not the setup. It's probably you. Your chases on average should be lasting like 15-ish seconds, 15 to 20 seconds. That's what I think. I think if you're a good killer, your chases should be lasting like 15 to 20 seconds. That it should be like around that mode. So like, I don't feel like Bloodlust 2 and 3 are necessary. I feel like we could just cut those out and just leave Bloodlust 1, and that would be totally fine. And I think that would be a happy medium that would make a lot of people happy. Yeah, those are my opinions on Bloodlust. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. I think Bloodlust does have a place in the game and does help, so we should probably keep Bloodlust 1, but the other two, Bloodlust 2 and 3, are probably excessive, and I feel like we could do without those. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. Tell me what you think about Bloodlust down in the comments below. But on that, it's going to be it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching. But on that, I will see you in tomorrow's video, and if I don't, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.